What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 12. In this video, I'm going to be installing the SR20 into the chassis as well as getting the fuel tank installed. But in the meantime, I need to build this little hydraulic press brake. This thing only cost me about 60 bucks in materials. I saw another video of a guy making this thing and I thought, you know what, that's a great alternative to a $300 to $400 one. And I only need something that's really going to fit up on this bench top. Realistically, the 1/4 inch pieces that I'm going to be bending with this thing are going to be less than 10 inches wide, so this should be a perfect setup. So let's get into it. What a coincidence. I was digging through the scrap bin that I had, and this is from some old roll cage projects. This is actually the same material I'm using to build the roll cage in the truck. This is 1 3/4 or 1.75 inch DOM, so drawn over mandrel is what that stands for, and it's 120 thousandths wall. It's about roughly 1/8 inch. Check it out. Well, I need to ream out the center of it, but check that out. Fits right over it perfectly. So that's going to kind of keep the T-plate in line. It's the next day and everything's cooled down. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really happy with how this thing turned out. It's always good to strike up an arc when you haven't fabricated in a while. I've been on probably like a year-long hiatus from welding, so I need to slow my travel speed down though. I got a little ahead of myself, but it turned out pretty good. Welds are decently flat. Again, just good practice. Good penetration though. No issues for this application. I still need to grind this T-bar to a point in the center all the way across. That way it clenches the metal when I'm pressing up on it. I also need to drill a hole here, tap those holes, and then slot the base in this C channel so I have some adjustability as well as being able to lock this thing down when I'm pressing. And then, yeah, I'm probably just gonna do some caveman black powder coat and keep this thing protected from the elements. So anyway, let's move on to episode 12. If you ever walk up behind somebody and see that they have this toolkit out, it's best to just quietly turn around and walk the other way. When I picked up this SR20 block from JDM of Miami, they sent me this thing, told me it was in perfect shape and everything. I actually fully built it, and when it was time to put everything back together, it took me a while to realize that the turbo oil feed hole right here is stripped out halfway through. I didn't know that. I emailed them, told them about it. They kind of just shrugged their shoulders and I'm like, I don't know what you want us to do about it. I mean, I guess it's fair. I mean, I mean, it's such a small area. I mean, I wasn't even looking for that. I was making sure that the cylinder walls were good, and the bearing surfaces were good and all that. So it was just a slight oversight, but I was able to get it to work. However, I've always wanted to fix that issue because the threads are really, really boogered in this thing. So I bought this heli-coil kit on Amazon. People said that this was a really good kit, but the drill bit sucked. So I went and got a 31/64 drill bit from Irwin, and I took the old drill bit out, threw it away, and just put this in there. And I noticed that the other drill bit was also too large. Well, I didn't throw it away, I just tossed it up into my little drill bit bin. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely use this Irwin bit. I'm gonna put a little silicone plug that I use for powder coating inside the hole. That way the oil feet, there's no metal shavings that get in there, and I'm gonna kind of put the engine on a slight tilt and then blow it out with compressed air, because the last thing you want is metal shavings in your block. So, and then I just got this new banjo fitting. It's the M12 by 1.25 with a -4 AN on it, so that way I can feed that turbo. So yeah, I'm gonna just jump straight in it. Dude, I am so happy with how well that kit worked out. I was able to fix the threads on this hole. That was the first time I've ever used a heli-coil in my life. I didn't use any cutting oil on the tap because aluminum's pretty soft, and also I wanted to make sure I could get all the little flakes out of there, all the shavings, when I used compressed air. But yeah, that worked out really good. I was able to drill it straight and even and tap it straight and even. And it turns out the heli-coil itself, the insert, is the same depth as this hole, and it butted right up against the back of it. So I couldn't have got a better kit for this job. And now I can remove whatever the hell all this is. It looks like JB Weld or something. I don't know. It's kind of like a nasty hard substance, but I need to get that off there so I can make sure that the crush washers seal nice and even in there and I don't have any leaks. But what a cool kit. It didn't mention anything about a thread locker. I've seen people do heli-coils before and they use like thread locker, but that was mainly for like steel repair. Since these are stainless inserts and this is aluminum, I don't think it's really required. And plus, this thing's not gonna be coming in and out very often. It's gonna just go in, I'm gonna torque it down and call it a day. So it should be pretty good. I don't know, let me know what you guys think in the comments, but I'm very pleased with this. So I was actually able to use the press brake to make these brackets that are gonna cap off the backside of the C-channel on my frame rail. But I noticed something kind of weird. I was like, you know what? I thought the frame rail was twisted slightly, but it turns out, if you notice back here, the frame gets wider at the base, and that's to accommodate this rear leaf spring perch. So I went ahead and took a marker and marked that off. I'm gonna cut that down so my brackets fit. See, it kind of actually, it gets wide and then it slims down towards the back. But yeah, it was tripping me out for a second because I was thinking that the frame rail was twisted like this, but it's not. It's just a little bit wider at the bottom. So anyway, yeah. All right, so I just got done making these end caps. And this is what is going to be my little mount for the fuel cell. Fit up really nice. So the first thing I'm gonna do is put some weld through primer on the back side because I'm not gonna really be able to get to it that easy. So I wanna go ahead and coat this. And then once it's all welded up and stuff and I know it's dry and good to go, I'm gonna spray some epoxy in there too, just to make sure it doesn't rust from the inside out. So I'm gonna do that real quick, run up to Home Depot, get some more flap discs, and it should be ready to weld when I get back. All right, so I just finished welding the caps on, grinding this top down so I have a nice flat surface to go across when I'm putting this bar up. Just attach like a magnet to it, kind of hold it in place, and then get it perfectly level, and go ahead and weld it in, and then weld a nice bead into this groove, and then down the face. But yeah, that worked out pretty good so far, so I get to knocking that out. Man, it is freaking hot today. Anyway, I went ahead and put a little chamfered edge right here. Same over there. Got everything leveled up and measured up. Going off this center hole right here to the bottom of here. It's 248 millimeters. Same on that side, the same location. That way I know it's pretty darn square with the chassis itself. So everything's nice and level all the way across. So I'm gonna get going. All right, so I just finished up the rear support bracket for the fuel cell. Everything's welded in, looking nice. So before I was a project manager, I used to actually install medical equipment. So I'd do cath labs, radiographic fluoroscopic x-ray machines, CTs, MRIs, and I learned a few tricks along the way, especially for leveling. And it's much easier to level on 3 points than it is 4. So when I was going to get my left and right, all you have to do is just shim these jacks a little bit. When you're trying to get your front to back, you just raise and lower the jack, and that can get you nice and level on the frame in all directions. That way you can pull some pretty good measurements and get stuff nice and even across the board. But I did order a set of Camco jacks. They're leveling jacks to where I can actually screw them up and down. They're made for like RV campers and stuff like that. They're not really meant to be safety jacks, so I wouldn't recommend getting under your vehicle, but they are good for leveling stuff. So they won't be here for another few days. I won't be able to use them now, but I definitely want to use them when I start doing suspension work because I'm gonna need some accurate reference points. But this will do for now, especially for just the fuel cell. And it's right on the money anyways, so I'm not worried about it. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and start doing the drop hangers and getting the cage built for the fuel cell. Houston, we have a cradle. It's getting there. Just need to finish up doing some more supports and I'll be done. All right guys, I'm just about finished with the cradle. I'll make the straps later for it. I'm gonna toss some etching primer on there just in the meantime so it doesn't rust. Those leveling jacks I was telling you about came in. Now again, these aren't made for supporting your vehicle or anything like that. They're actually just made for like campers and RVs. But for this application, since the frame itself doesn't weigh a whole lot and I need stuff to be pretty darn level, these are gonna work perfectly with some modifications I'm gonna do. Because this just, I don't like that, and it also doesn't go up high enough. So I bought some 3/4 inch all thread and 16 nuts for it. So I'm gonna double nut down here and have like over 1 foot up top, and it's gonna come through. And then I'm gonna double nut right here, the same width on that side, and then the one over there and one over there. That way I can get this thing perfectly level when I'm doing, you know, the engine mount or I'm doing any of the suspension work and stuff like that. I want it to be really level. So that's how I'm gonna use that. Once this thing starts getting really heavy and I start piling parts on it, then I'll probably switch back to jack stands. But by that point, I won't really need that extremely level surface because all the fabrication will be done. So anyway, also these people always bugging me on Facebook with their ads and stuff, but I thought, you know what, I'll just give it a try. I've been going through flap discs kind of crazy lately. So yeah, it's like $10.43 shipped. They're doing a giveaway. They send you 380 grit, 360 grit, 340 grit, and 120 grit. I mean, for $10.43, you can't really beat that. Granted, I don't know what their original prices are or anything like that. It's not a sponsored video or anything. I just thought I'd give it a try since it's always popping up on my thing. And yeah, that's pretty cool. You definitely can't go to Home Depot and do that. Like my Diablo ones are like $7 a piece. So this is 10 bucks for all these. So we'll see how they hold up. I'm not really sure yet, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up doing the etching primer on the cradle. I'm gonna go ahead and put the engine together. That way I can get it over in here and then get these stands configured and everything nice and level. So let's do it. So the oil drain plug came in quite a bit earlier than I was expecting. It's stainless steel, the strong neodymium magnet in there with an aluminum crush washer. A lot better than the junk that came on the pan. And this thing doesn't even really have oil in it, only residual, and it's leaking straight onto the ground. Go figure. Anyway, I did the etching primer and I did a test batch of the satin black epoxy. And I think it turned out pretty darn good. Tell me what you think. I mean, it looks just like an OEM chassis color. I think it looks really good. So, yep. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get this SR put together and put it into the chassis. Let's do it. Sweet mother of God, it was freaking hot today. One of the few drawbacks of living in Texas is some days it is just blazing hot outside and you mix humidity with it and it's just not fun. I am a sweaty mess right now. But anyway, as you can see, I got a lot of work to do in the next few episodes. Coilovers are on their way. They should be here within a week or so. And all the stuff to get those mounted up. So we're looking at getting the engine dressed, we're looking at getting the suspension, steering system set up, looking at getting the engine all mounted up and ready to rock and roll, the rear setup and the coilovers and all that stuff back there, dual calipers in the back, running all the lines for hydraulic e-brake, the brakes, the fuel, building a little battery cage back there to hold the battery and running power from that. We got wiring. There is quite a bit of stuff that needs to be done. I'm not gonna dictate order just because every time I try to do something like that, usually something just kind of gets in the way and I have to rethink and circumvent that avenue. So as you can see, I got the rack and pinion from a WRX. It's a 2002 USDM WRX. So I'm gonna be installing that and getting rid of that ugly parallel link steering. It's real sloppy, that gearbox, that old stuff. And yeah, I'm gonna be installing this thing. So that's the only reason I didn't start making the mounts for this engine, because I was waiting for that rack and pinion to come in, but it's in now, so I can get going. Because my luck, I'd build that bracket and it would smash right into it. So anyway, that's what's going on, guys. I still need to powder coat the calipers, a lot of other stuff, just little things, but I'm very happy with how the fuel cell turned out. I think that's probably what I'm gonna name this episode, fuel cell installation, I suppose. But that definitely gave me a lot of confidence to finish the rest of this project. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.